And I think, I read something recently that says, stop raising guests in your home. And it hit me kind of
Ooh,
hard.
I
I'm like,
like
I don't have
that.
there's no guest staying at my home. But a lot of
Mm.
times, if you are, the primary person at home, or if you're the one who's doing most of the housekeeping and upkeeping, let's not teach others that they're guests in our homes, but
Yeah.
also helpful contributors to our home. Welcome to Reframe and Reclaim. We are Courtney Huckabee, a psychotherapist,
and Jen Harris, an interior designer
who have teamed up to reflect,
challenge,
and reframe your mindset in relationship with your personal belongings. Find the reframe.
Start your reclaim.
Welcome back to Reframe and Reclaim. I am Courtney Huckabee.
And I'm Jen Harris.
And today we're here to talk about stress. So, did you know that April is actually Stress Awareness Month?
I did not, but it is a very stressful time of year with taxes and
Yes.
trying to plan summer camps and summer events already. I can understand why they would pick this month.
We're past the first quarter of the year. That means we've had a fourth of the year that we've
Ooh.
lived through, but now starts all of the festivals and events and summer plans and travel and taxes. Nobody loves taxes, but here we are. So, we're here to talk about how stress can overwhelm us and create some stress within our lives, but also how to manage overwhelm and stress as well. So, we have Reframe and Reclaim mostly about home and spaces.
Yes.
However, in general, stress can come from lots of different places. It can come from our to-do list or our expectations and responsibilities we put on ourselves, but also those that we feel are put on us from work or from friends or family.
Children.
From children. Yes. So there's a lot of ways to manage that, but I think the really important thing is having an outlet, making sure if you're an exerciser, having a really healthy exercise plan and regime to keep you letting out that mental, emotional energy in a physical way can be really beneficial. There's something about the endorphins that come with that gives us a little bit of the relief as well. And if you're a writer, writing and journaling, that's another way to express and to let go of things. But if you're like me and a talker, finding someone to talk to, it can be a counselor, like, a mental health therapist or a social worker, but it can also just be a friend or a family member. Like actually saying it out loud. Some people say it like makes it bigger, and it can, but it also lets you release a little bit of that. So
yes, it's that whole sharing of feelings, the shared weight of it.
yeah, and also it can help normalize that other people
yeah.
might be experiencing something similar, maybe not the exact same, but we all have different stressors.
Yes.
Because in my mind, I'm the only one going through this.
Right?
I'm the only one having to deal with
no
this.
one else has ever done this in the history of time before me.
No one else
Yes.
understands me.
Yes.
But once you actually start sharing with somebody else that you trust and you feel comfortable with, then sometimes it feels like, okay, I'm not alone.
Yes.
And that can feel really comforting, knowing that there's other people who have been through that, who are experiencing that, or maybe actually have some really helpful guidance or support in that way.
Yeah, I get that a lot too, especially with even if they don't have any, solutions or suggestions, even just sharing it and getting it off your chest can always help. Just to know you're not alone, right? That's the big thing. People don't want to feel like they're alone.
Yeah, and a lot of times we don't want to share our stressors because we don't want to seem weak or fragile or
burdening someone with our overwhelm. Yes,
or not being capable to manage and handle things. But I think it really is very normal for stress and overwhelm to happen. And there's some really great strategies to deal with how you cope. For me, I'm a list person as well. So sometimes I'm like, there's this huge 28 item list that I have to get to. And I try to help myself chunk it into 5 or less things just for the day. So
top 5.
What do I have to do today, or the must do? And then what can wait for tomorrow or next week?
Yes.
And I think that mindfulness and that smaller chunking can actually feel a little more realistic to accomplish.
Yes.
And less mental overwhelm.
I definitely need to take a note on that one, because I'm one of those people. I'm like, I have an hour. I can do 50 things. It's really unreasonable the amount of things I put on the list. And then sometimes, if I've done something earlier, I'll add it just so I can scratch it out.
It feels good to mark it out, to
Yes.
check it off.
But I know for me, like, I can sometimes get stuck in the smaller things and not getting the major things done that have to get done, right? Like I want those easy wins. So it's like, well, I'll go do the dishes real quick, or I'll throw in this load of laundry. And it's like, no, I really need to be focusing my time on this other bigger project.
And
I'm guilty of that.
And I will say there's different psychologies about like, should I take on and, finish the more mentally tasking or um, time over taking strategy that I need to do, or should I do small wins? And I really think it really depends on you. But a lot of people will sometimes procrastinate. Maybe it's that big project or that big, paper you're writing for school, or we put other things that I can do instead, and put off that big thing, and then the stress and overwhelm actually grows exponentially.
Yeah, I've done that before where it's like, I'm going to do the couple quick wins, right? So it's like, I'll finish my 3 out of 5 things. And I'm like, I can take a break. I've done 3 out of 5, but like 4 and 5 take hours, And so then I'm stuck like, scrambling at the end.
And
Guilty.
I think a lot of people can feel this way as well with your home environment. And actually, there's a lot of evidence and research that says your home environment, your work environment, your car environment actually has a lot of impact on the stress and your own mental health.
Yes.
And so
you don't even realize it.
We live in it every day, and we don't realize.
And you normalize it, right?
Yes. So I think we can take some of the strategies that we do just in daily life, and how might that apply to our home environments? So the things that we use in our daily lives, like lists or talking to somebody else or sharing with a friend or creating, kind of the strategies of things to check off the list, we can do that in our home environment as well.
Yes. I mean, we did that in January with the decluttering challenge, right?
I love
we
that
partnered
challenge.
Together and with people online.
Yes.
We held each other accountable, and every day going off, checking a list or marking a square off your bingo chart, right? And so that helped me be accountable to it. And I was able to get rid of a lot more things than I had planned on. So that was exciting.
I didn't plan on getting rid of anything, and I got rid of a lot. And that's the really wonderful thing about these small challenges is when you have accountability, like we did to each other. It's like, oh, what did you decide to donate or take out of your space? And it was fun to see each other's things. You're like, oh, that looks fun, or oh my gosh, yeah, you held on to that for way too long.
Right. And one thing too, with this overwhelm, repeatedly we saw when we were writing the book and our case studies, the biggest problem was for people was just getting started. They felt so overwhelmed. They got bogged down by the size and the enormity of what the overall whole home was. Yeah. So we really recommend breaking this down into a much smaller piece. So there are strategies out there where it's like, find something that's, you're not emotionally tied to. Yes. So maybe it's socks, maybe it's expired food, things like that. But we're going to challenge you a little bit differently. So we're going to focus on 10 to 20 minutes or 5 minutes if that's all you have. But for 10 to 20 minutes a day, you're going to find a time where you can focus on decluttering a space. So that could be at lunchtime if you're a remote worker or have a different schedule. It could be after dinner when you're doing your regular cleanup of dishes and sweeping. It could be right before bed if that's the time for you. But what you're going to do is find a space that's in that, whenever your time is, that you're in a lot. So if it's right before bed, you're going to find a space like a nightstand or a bathroom counter, somewhere where you are in that space every day and you really need that flat surface cleared off. So we're focusing on countertops, tabletops, nightstands, countertop, bathroom countertops. So any flat surface. Tables.
My kitchen table is used for laundry a lot. It's a big surface that all my laundry can fit on. But that is a surface that's used for many things.
Yes. So you're going to want to pick a space that's in a room that you're already doing regular maintenance in or have a routine around. And again, just set the timer 10, 20 minutes and clear it off. You want to touch everything once if possible, make a decision and move on. Put it away where it goes, and then it's done. So if you don't get done in that 10 to 20 minutes, it's okay, because you're going to do it again the next day.
You're done. You did your 10 minutes.
Yep.
And then that's a small chunk. Instead of all of this room
Yes.
or all of this laundry or all of this bathroom counter. It's just 10 minutes. And if you touch it, make a decision about it. Does it
Hmm.
have a different home? Does it need to be discarded? Does it need to find, another space to live in?
And so you're going to continue on revisiting that same spot every night or every day at the same time. And you're going to check it. So if it's a nightstand right before bed, you're going to set your timer, clear off your nightstand. If you don't finish it, come back the next night. Keep working on it till it's cleared. Once it's cleared, then you can move on to another surface, right? So if I did this nightstand, I might go to the other nightstand or my bathroom countertop. I know I keep going to that, but my nightstand is literally like right next to my bathroom counter
Well,
behind
and
the
I think
wall.
what's really important is yes, we have these things we're doing, but you might be surprised in what you really can accomplish in
Hmm.
just 10 minutes.
Yes.
So a lot of people are like, it's going to take me 3 hours to do this space, or it's going to take me 2 days to clear out this
Hmm.
space. And you might be surprised by that. But once you do finish that one nightstand, I want you to also step back and say, how does this space feel now?
Yes.
Because before it may have been overwhelming, before it may have added stress, and that
Hmm.
visual clutter really has a huge impact on our stress, our cortisol, that stress hormone, and especially if you're a woman, it is just exacerbated. So,
Yes. And when you see that space, again, like you were saying, it makes you feel better, but you're going to check into it every day. So that's going to be the first space that you go back, make sure that's clear before moving on to your secondary
yes.
space. So that way you know that that section will always be clear. But you'll notice as you start doing this as a routine and maintaining it, it's going to go really fast. So you might look at your nightstand and move one thing, and you have a whole nother 5-10 minutes for a whole nother section. So you'll slowly but surely start working on all those flat surfaces in your home.
Yeah. And I think it's really important to start with, places that you're in a lot of the time,
Yes.
whether it's the kitchen or, the dining room where you sit and eat dinner, or the living room where the coffee tables are, or the bathroom where you're getting ready in the mornings. And making sure that those spaces have less visual clutter doesn't mean you're not using things on those surfaces. It doesn't mean things are completely eliminated. It's just what doesn't belong there, finding a new space for it so that when you do encounter that space that you're using so much, there's less stress in that space.
And I think you bring up a really good point of the daily use of a space, right? So we just have to understand that there is always going to be some sort of clutter because you're using the space on a daily basis, right? We can't have expectations that this tabletop is going to be clear at all hours of the day because if it is, then you're not using it. And then why is it in your house in the first place? Is kind of my thought, right? So just know these frequently used places and spaces are going to be used. They're going to get cluttered, and that's okay because you're going to have the time to quickly put things where they need to go.
And I think that's so important to remember is that just because you clear the space in 10 minutes, it doesn't mean you're not going to, use things on it again, or other people
Hmm.
in your home may, get the milk out, put it on the counter, or have a dirty
Yes.
dish, or, spill something on the table. I think that 10 minutes, can really help with just that space feeling as though it's like just kind of tidied up.
Yes. And then you can go to bed with a clearer head. Or if you're doing it in the morning, you can start the day
Oh,
with a
so
nice clear
fresh,
spot.
refreshed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or lunchtime. Like you said, if you're a remote worker, I know that whenever my husband works remotely, sometimes he'll be like, I'm going to make lunch real quick. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to unload the dishes. And then, like, it takes him 3 minutes to maybe unload the dishes. It doesn't mean he's putting like all of the dishes away. Maybe they need to dry on a drying pad,
Hmm.
or maybe, there's pots and pans that, need to be cleaned. But that's one step, not the whole kitchen being examined at that lunchtime.
Right. So maybe it's taking, again, a nightstand. Maybe it's your entryway, your mudroom. Maybe it's a kitchen counter. Get your kids involved. If they're the ones using the entryway and the mudroom space a lot, have them set a timer for 10 minutes and just make sure the shoes are put up, backpacks are zipped and ready for the next day. This doesn't all have to fall on you, but it does. You do set a really good example when you start doing these things, these habits for other people in your home.
And I think, I read something recently that says, stop raising guests in your home. And it hit me kind of
Ooh,
hard.
I
I'm like,
like
I don't have
that.
there's no guest staying at my home. But a lot of
Mm,
times, if you are, the primary person at home, or if you're the one who's doing most of the housekeeping and upkeeping, let's not teach others that they're guests in our homes, but
yeah.
also helpful contributors to our home. And I, like Jen said, being a role model of what that looks like is one thing, but teaching your children and teaching your partner what our systems and our expectations are, it allows them to have life skills for their life too. And so they can notice things and contribute. And then that's less stress and overwhelm on you. That's more that they get to be capable and contributing. And then we're all working together, which is just a beautiful thing.
So I think though, what I'm taking away from this podcast is Mother's Day this year. I'm going to have a rule where I'm the guest in my house. That's what I get to be guest for the day.
I get to be guest for the weekend, the whole weekend.
Even better.
Yeah,
I like that.
No, and I do think it's really important because a lot of times we think it's just faster and easier if I do it.
Yeah.
But if my partner doesn't know the system in my space, or if my children don't know where things belong, or teaching them how to tidy things up or organize things, it's really a disservice to them in the long run.
And a disservice to us in the long run too. So yeah.
So with the idea of this being Stress Awareness Month, we have a few tips, whether it's making a list and checking off what things you can do, in your home one day at a time, or if it's finding one flat surface, a space that you're using typically to make that a little bit more peaceful, a little bit more organized, or speaking to your other family members in your home of what they can help you with. And making sure that we're making time to share those strategies and systems and working together to get those things accomplished.
Yes. So don't get stuck in the overwhelm. 5-10 minutes, 20 minutes makes a huge difference. Just get started, and we promise it's going to start snowballing. You're going to get motivated, and it'll be easier to accomplish the bigger tasks.
Yep, this is a good place to start, a good habit to begin as we're working through to the middle of the year.